Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm in Men in Black, the series, the game.
Oh man, this one's a lot.
How many little shadow goblins have you seen today, Chase?
I have seen one little shadow goblin, and he's on Zoom with me right now.
Hey, I'm Big Shadow Manlin.
Okay, Big Shadow Manlin, comma, the little shadow goblin.
That's fair. That's fair.
It is overwhelmingly hot. I feel like this is the hottest we've recorded a podcast for in a while, and
yeah,
whew, it is challenging.
It's hot here, it's hot there, it's hot everywhere. This is the world nowadays, everybody. Welcome.
Yeah. But it is especially hot in these rooms. And like I've said before, I'll say it again. I know we're kind of talking shop. We're talking about the podcast, right? But still, I like talking about it. And it's warm in here, and I like that. It's challenging. It's bracing. It forces me to be awake. I'm awake right now, baby.
You like an environmental challenge is what you're telling me.
Yes. I would like it to be a little bit spicy.
Is this like your Nordic roots right now? Being like, yes, I will persevere against the elements. It's against all odds. I will win.
It's possible. I would think it would go the other way, that I would have like a much higher tolerance for cold. And I wouldn't say that I do. I like my heater to be on during the winter, but I do enjoy the heat. Maybe it's the
Sacramento boy in you.
I think it is a Sacramento boy. It reminds me of summer. Reminds me of those hot summer days playing video games.
The old Sack Nasty.
The old Sack Nasty, which has now developed into video game Podtimism, the Optimists video game variety show, where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
My name is David.
And we're here to talk to you about some video games.
Sure are.
And how hot we are. Maybe I should make a commitment to not talk about it.
Temperature-wise, maybe not like, we're not over here being like, oh, we're so hot. It's like, I'm so hot. It's more like a cry for help, for me at least. Chase is over there like railing against the elements. I'm just suffering, personally.
Maybe we should. That would be kind of a flex, though, you know? Like if we're just like the Hot Boys cast.
Welcome to the hottest boys podcast about video games.
Yeah, just the moment we speak it into existence, it feels bad. Just immediately feels bad.
It does. Hey, listeners, let us know on Twitter what would happen to us if we did that. Curious what would happen.
Just a screen capture of them unsubscribing.
Pretty much, yeah. Get out of here. Not interested anymore.
Hey, before we start talking about video games, just real quick, I would like to say thanks for the people who are leaving reviews on various things. We've gotten a bunch recently, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it too.
Yeah. Spotify requires like a certain number of them before they're like, hey, this is the rating that they have currently sitting at a perfect 5. Thank you, friends.
Whoa.
So appreciate y'all doing that. We usually say it at the end of the show, but I did want to say it up front just to like say thanks. So thanks.
Bam. That's how you know he's really thankful. This is a show opener. Thank you.
Well, I am thankful at the end of the show too, but I did want to tell the people who like, listen, David, our analytics say that not everybody listens to the outro, but most people listen through at least the first half. So like, I do need to get them up front in the first 5 here.
You're playing the numbers right now.
I'm talking stats and data, baby. I see the matrix.
I see the pod tricks.
Have you been playing video games, David?
I have been, Chase.
Could you tell me about those, please?
Yeah, I can. It's been my birthday.
Yeah.
In case anyone didn't know, listening to the last podcast.
Yeah, the big segment in the middle where we talked about... The big
segment in the middle where we talked about games from 1993?
3.
So I was able to convince my girlfriend to play some Mario games with me.
Oh, nice.
Some Nintendo games with me.
Yeah.
So we played some Mario Kart 8.
Lovely.
Some of those new levels. And then also played the balloons. And Mallory kicked my ass in the balloons.
The balloons?
The
battle mode?
The battle mode. The balloons.
I don't think I knew that existed in Mario Kart 8, David.
It used to not, but now it does.
Okay, nice. Hell yeah.
They added it. And I looked at her and I'm like, I was impressed. I'm like, I didn't know you were so good at this. He's like, I'm great at chaos. Just stone cold looked at me in the eyes and said that. I'm like, damn. Even after 7.5 years, got some history in her. I do great in chaos. Wow.
Jesus. I feel
It
like
reminded
both
me
of
of
our...
the Joker. She climbed that ladder straight to first place. She got 13 kills in one of those rounds.
Jesus.
It was crazy.
Body count, man.
Yeah.
I feel like both of our significant others are like ascending to their true gamer forms recently.
They're stealth. They're stealth about it.
Because my betrothed, Emily Alice, beat us, no less, in Mario Party twice in one night. And when I asked for comment post-game, she says, humility is for losers.
She did. She did say that. I can
confirm. That was a bracing moment for me.
And then she asked Chase back for her wedding ring that she gave him. She's like, I'm not marrying you anymore because I beat your ass in Mario Party.
Fucking casual gamer over here.
He may have a podcast, but he's a casual.
How was your experience with the new couple of maps? I also played these.
I liked them. They were challenging.
Yeah, some of them are
They're
hard,
actually challenging. I really like the Mario Kart Tour maps, actually. I like them a lot more. The Mario Kart Tour being the mobile Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Never touched it. And so I'm glad that they're bringing some of the maps into the big boy version of the game. And they're quite fun. They're quite engaging. They're cool. It's like New York and Paris, I think, are the two that they have. And the
they're
music,
both very good.
Oh god, the music is always so good in a Mario Kart game. Like I can't imagine it being any other music. I think I watched a video. A video on Reddit the other day of someone like, what if Mario Kart music was like this? And it was more smooth and like low key. I'm like, no, it can't be. Like it was good music. Don't get me wrong. I think it was this guy made this music. And like I was impressed by the music itself, but Mario Kart, I feel like Mario Kart is one of these games that has the perfect soundtrack currently to it.
They've got it really dialed in for what it should feel like to play Mario Kart.
Yeah, it is bright, it is energetic, it's fun, and it just gets you ready to have a good time. It's ready to have a good time. And it always is a good time. No matter, even if you win or you lose. It's great. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Wonderful game.
Good game.
We also played a little Smash together.
How was it?
It was great. We played online, co-op together against other people. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I have not really touched the online portion of Smash so far. There are some people who are really good and a lot better than me.
Yep.
And I'm trying to train up a little bit before the big Smash tournament at your batch party, Chase. So I gotta go in the hyperbolic time chamber. Get good, as they say.
You're gonna show up to this bachelor party so much better at Smash Brothers than all of us.
Hey, nothing's stopping you from getting online and perfecting your Ganondorf, Chase.
I guess not. I kind of like the arc though, where you're just like a supervillain at my bachelor party.
I mean, I was a supervillain that one time I blew into town on a old dusty wind and just kicked your ass up and down. That was great.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was wild. It was a wild experience.
I was surprised too. I'm like, I haven't played this game in years. It was intense. But yeah, still a great game. Also a game that I feel needs a shout out for the music, always. Also shout out to the music because the guy who composed it apparently passed away recently.
I know, I saw that.
R.I.P. to him. What a legend. This music has made such an impression on me in my life. Not just playing it, but having it on the background, just when we're idling about, talking and chatting, and just in between Smash sessions. Another game that feels like it has pretty much the perfect soundtrack to it. Very driving, very, gets you ready to have a friendly, competitive battle. It's not scary. It's not overly aggressive. It's just like, hey, we're going to have a good time, and people are going to try hard, but if they lose, it's going to be fine. We're going to be good.
Kenichi Okuma was the composer.
Yes. Huge shout out to him. R.I.P. to
R.I.P.
a great one. What else have I been playing? I have been playing Jak 2, Chase.
Whoa. Okay. So of the Jak and Daxter trilogy, you've started with 2?
Yes. Started with 2.
Interesting. Okay.
I chose 2 because it's the one that I wanted to see how it lived up to my remembrance of it.
Yeah.
And this was a huge game for me as a kid because I was one of those kids who was not allowed to have Grand Theft Auto growing up. And this was definitely a GTA-like game, but with a nice T for teen, which I was, rating.
It had like the promise of a kind of open world, and you could sort of have vehicles, and there was a little bit of like guns and stuff. So
yeah, it was an open world. You could jack vehicles. Wow. There were guns. There were police who would chase you, the Crimson Guard. So yeah, it got you most of the way there. Similar to like how Simpsons Hit and Run was for many teenagers in my day. But yeah, this game's on the PS Premium that I bought for myself. And it's some things have aged well and some things have not aged well.
Yeah, I'm interested in what, because I haven't played this since it came out either.
Yes, what's aged well, the animation's still top notch. It's very cartoony, very expressive, definitely a lot of care and passion put into how the game looks fluidly and moves, right? So yeah, the world is very well crafted and the characters just move with a very nice bouncy weightiness to them, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody's voice acting ages well except for Jack.
Oh, really?
Jack is he's a absolute victim of the edgelord craze that was going on in the mid 2000s. And yeah, it's just you have Daxter, whose voice acting is sometimes questionable and a little cringy, like with the writing.
Sure.
Still, the person who delivers it is really delivering like a solid performance, right? He's really in that character.
Good,
And like all the side characters, like some of them are being a little tropey with the character that they're trying to play, but they're still doing it well, and mix that with the animations, and it makes it a very engaging experience to watch and listen to this game played out in front of you, because there's a lot of cutscenes. It's a very cinematic experience, and you definitely see shades of what Uncharted would become eventually with Naughty Dog here.
Yeah.
But then you have Jack, old Jack, who was a mute in the first game, and after 2 years of being tortured, which understandably would make anybody angry, is just too angry and too aggressive, and the voice acting when he's not being aggressive or edgelordy is a little not so good. Like when he's using his voice acting to be like delivering exposition for the game, like this is what we're doing. It's very much like we're doing this and then that's gonna happen kind of inflection. So I mean I feel bad kind of dunking on this a little bit right now, but it just stands out as being not as good as the other voice acting performances, which are all, other than Jack's, quite good. And maybe they did that on purpose. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's the player character. They wanted to make him, more of a blank canvas for the character to put their own like self in, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they gave him less of a more of a one note personality. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely just stands out to me as an adult replaying this game now. Yeah. So yeah, that's the one thing that I think ages the least well. Also, there are some like fat shaming jokes in there, and like other early mid 2000s kind of un-PC things in it that I've seen so far. The fat shaming is probably the worst offender so far, but I'm sure there will be something else. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think who was it? Crew? Do you remember him? The very large guy who has like a British Cockney accent and flies around in like the little hovercraft.
I think so, yeah.
They just like make fun of him being fat for like a solid like 30 seconds straight in this game. Yeah. When they're like having an argument with him, like, wow, I do not. This is maybe why I had some low self-esteem as a very overweight child playing this
stuff
game.
Was just built in. Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience. But I think the thing that probably also one of the things that translate the best is the gameplay. I feel like it's quite good still. The platforming is. The camera is a little wonkier than I remember.
As most 2000
games are. But the gunplay still feels nice, actually. Nice and weighty. Very understandable hitboxes. Like I don't feel like I never connected with something that I should have connected with. Even with something like the shotgun, which is a very interesting kind of like spread cone shape that you use. So that's fun, and the Dark Eco powers are fun too. Right. Just being able to slice and dice somebody as Angry Boy Jack. Yeah. The world's interesting. There's sometimes it can be a little frustrating to drive around in it because the hovercrafts are difficult to maneuver in this world, especially in like the slums area. Yeah.
Because I remember them being a little floaty.
They're very floaty, and especially in like the poorer areas of town, like the slums and what have you. Yeah. Because you can switch between two levels, right? So like ground level and hovering level. Yeah. So you can kind of like traverse the town that way, which works well most of the time. But then when you have an area like the slums, which is built on like water, and just has like walkways. So sometimes you'll go down and you think you're going down to a walkway, but then you actually fall down all the way to the water level. And there's all these like pylons you have to like fly between. It becomes very difficult. And it feels pretty good when you do it well, but then all of a sudden you smash into something and you blow up. And that's not as fun. So yeah, it's I'm interested to play it some more. The reviews so far are mixed, but I want to give it more of a shot because I don't think I'm at the really good bits yet. I'm still very much on like the beginning exposition phase.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, still having a good time with it. Yeah, interesting game.
It's pretty bizarre, like playing through those games that are, like you were saying, they were so clearly aimed at a very specific audience, you know, like it's fascinating to play through these games that like there was just such a monoculture with who gaming or like video games were trying to market to. And like, I feel like just so much of the gaming industry, like you were saying, was at this like point where they were doing grittier video games. I think that's sort of obvious looking at it, but it took me some time to realize like, oh, they were just trying to get to teenage boys. It's not necessarily that like, that's where all gamers were. It's just like, well, the mid-teenager, maybe early 20s who would play this want this, right? Like with no real regard to any other kind of person who is like interested in playing a video game. So it's bizarre. And yeah, you're right that like the voice acting change for Jack was also, it's interesting to see who they think a main character should be at that moment, you know, like this like kind of edgy, mad dude, you know, like it's just, that's a teenage boy right there.
Yeah.
It's just like a mad teenager.
It's like his first line is, "I'm gonna kill Baron Praxis." Like that's his first line of the whole game. It's like, okay, that's a tone setter.
yeah, exactly. And like you were saying, I think it was so specifically trying to get at that group of people who were not old enough to play Grand Theft Auto yet, but like because GTA was such a big game that they were like, well, what if we could get in with that crowd and also have like a T game, you know?
Exactly.
Reminds me a lot of like the differences of like PUBG or anything like that being kind of a mature game, and then Fortnite sands off the edges a little bit and markets to like a very broad base of people. And then like obviously is a gigantic game. I don't think that's the only reason why Fortnite is big, but I think like the move towards a more, I don't want to say family friendly because like you're still shooting dudes and it's like an edgy game, but like a game that isn't specifically tailored towards an older market, I think like works, you know?
Yeah.
Because I remember this game selling pretty well, if I remember correctly.
It sold well and got great reviews.
Yeah.
And, you know, everything that's under the hood is quite good, I think. The platforming feels good. The gunplay feels good. The actual gameplay mechanics, for the most part, feel quite nice.
Yeah.
The cars are on notice right now. But, yeah, everything else, I think it's going to be a fun experience. But... yeah, it's interesting. It's very much a time capsule of a game in that regard of it's kind of just encapsulating this kind of, I don't know, somewhat like kind of gross teenage boy. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to be a man energy, which, you know, maybe that's my judgment of it as an adult now. Potentially. But I'm sure as a child, it's like, oh yeah, it's just like, you know, he's just saying it like it is. This is just Jack. He's just angry.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it definitely reads a lot more like this is a kid trying to figure it out. And like, I do enjoy coming of age tales. I think those are oftentimes very good, but it is bizarre to see it mostly through the lens of I'm an angry guy and I'm gonna kill, you know? Yeah, I would say it's not even like a coming of age story. It's more just like I have come of age and I'm angry. Yeah, that's
Does that make sense?
Like, no, it does. Yeah. And like, that is a bizarre sort of other kind of power fantasy that I don't like. I feel like I don't see as often. Like oftentimes you see people going through the process of growing up, right? I don't know. I think of like the most recent God of War or something where Atreus is like going through it and like fighting with his dad, you know, like, that's a very direct version, but it's different when you're already of age and now like what do you do with that power? I feel like that's very much appealing to the power fantasy of a young boy who's like, you know, I'm mad at everything and like if I only had enough power to like change the system or something, you know, like any of that.
It's funny you mentioned the most recent God of War, whereas I was thinking that this game is more similar to the first God of War.
Yes, no, definitely.
And that's how Jack is presenting as like, I'm angry and now I'm out for revenge, which is like Kratos. Yeah, so it's an interesting kind of mixture of Grand Theft Auto and God of War, tonally, which is strange. It's an interesting game. It's like I said, it's an interesting game. So I'm excited to see where it goes, or if maybe his character mellows out a little bit more. I can't remember if he does. It's been so long since I played this game.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to see what happens, and then maybe play Jak 3 afterwards, because I remember him being a little bit more mellow in Jak 3.
I seem to remember that too, but if it turns out to be false, I have no idea.
Yeah, same. I have no idea. Maybe my teenage recollection of what mellow is might be very different than what other people would think in today's day and age.
Sure.
But yeah. Been playing Jak 2. And then also, Chase.
Yes.
It was my birthday.
Okay, yeah.
I got some B-Day money.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We're springing for some video games.
Yeah, video games or something else. So I had my eye on a little something that I would never pay with my own money, but if I'm given the money to buy it, I'm gonna try it out. Do you know where I'm going with this?
No.
It wasn't just a game that I was getting, Chase. It was an experience, an elite experience, one would say.
Did you get a real nice controller, David?
I got a really nice controller, Jez. I got the Xbox Elite Series 2.
Let's go. I have this too. It's a good controller.
It's a very good controller. So the first thing I did with it is, of course, go home, set it all up, and I booted up Halo Infinite, of course.
Sure.
It made me feel like RoboCop in this game, Chase, because I never had to take my fingers off the sticks.
Yeah.
To do anything. Jumping, reloading, changing my gun, picking up a new gun.
Yeah.
I'm always still able to aim and shoot people.
It's nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's really, really fun to use this controller. All the paddles feel really good on the back.
Yeah,
they have a nice clicky tactileness to them.
Mm-hmm.
The controller just feels premium with like its all enveloping rubber grip on the handles on the bottom. Feels so nice to hold. All the different, like, adjusting the tension of the control sticks.
Yeah.
Ooh, baby, I love that. I love full tension. I got strong fingies. I need something to push back against me.
The tension feels really, really good in the analog sticks.
It does.
Never something I knew that I needed, but it's really nice.
It's super nice. So yeah, it's been a joy to play Halo with. Have you gone under the hood with it too? Like gone into
control settings and stuff?
Changing the ramp of the joysticks.
The ramp. Oh, like the actual like buttons on the physical controller?
No, like how the joystick responds to input.
No, I have not done that.
So it will change. You can have default, which is just like a straight 1-to-1, or you could have smooth, which has a different ramp curve, right?
Okay.
And it'll show you the difference between what you have set right now and then how far you're going with the new setting as well. So you can kind of see like what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like 5 different settings for it. There's like delayed, instant, aggressive, smooth, and default, which I think is just like a 1-to-1. So that was fun to play around with, and like some other settings in there that I don't even know what they mean. With the control sticks, at least, I was a little scared to mess with too many things. But it's just fun. It's a fun controller, and I got to name it. Named it Chavid.
Oh, sure. Why not? Yeah.
The power of both of us combined into one controller. Why not? So yeah, super fun to use. Halo's great with it. And then I also was like, I should play another shooter with this. So I downloaded Gears 5 and I've been playing through that a little bit.
Whoa. What a pull. So out of curiosity, I played through the first 3 Gears and enjoyed them for what they were.
Yeah.
I didn't play 4 and I haven't played 5. How is 5?
You forgot Judgment in there too.
I forgot Judgment. That is also true.
Judgment. I haven't played Judgment and I haven't played 4. I'm also jumping back in with 5. I've really just played like the intro level and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's Gears of War. It's Gears of War is what I can say. They haven't changed a whole lot with it, but I mean it's still a good, fun formula for a game. You know, the characters still have their very distinctive weightiness to them. It's still fun to chainsaw something to the face.
Sure.
The little mini game with the reloading is always still a more engaging way of doing reloading than most games will ever do. Can't say much about the story yet because I'm not too far into it, but so far it feels, you know, like more of the same kind of. But yeah, it's more of the same, but it's a good same, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It's not bad. So I'll play some more and I'll report back and tell you if it's worth your time.
Sweet. Okay, cool.
And that's it. What have you been playing, Chase?
I have been playing a couple of video games, not a ton. because I've just mostly been playing one, but I'll tell you about two. Which one do you want first? How do I distinguish which one is which?
That's a great question. All I heard was you give me numbers so far.
Do you want anime or trombones?
Whoa. Give me trombones because I need to know what's going on with trombones.
Sure. I have been playing this game called Trombone Champ.
Trombone Champ.
Trombone Champ.
It's not it's just sequel to Trombone Simulator.
I'm not familiar with the Trombone Simulator, if such a thing exists.
I don't think it does. Maybe it does.
There was recently a playtest for this game called Trombone Champ. I think you actually can't play it anymore. I think they took that down, but the game is coming out soon. This is a kind of rhythm game where you are a person who plays a trombone in the game that is described as a tromboner, which, take it or leave it.
Of course.
But the game essentially plays out as you can move your trombone hand in or out, which is just up and down on your mouse. Up corresponds with down. So if you want to play a lower note, then you have to move up.
You're making the instrument bigger.
Yes, exactly. And so on the screen, your cursor moves down when you go up and vice versa. You also press the spacebar or the left click to toot, as the game says. Toot. And play a note that is coming across the screen. So if you can imagine a y-axis or something like that, just a straight line, and there's notes coming on from the right. Right, it's just going towards the left side of the screen. You have to line up your little trombone line and then click the button at the right time.
Click the toot button. This sounds, kind of like a Guitar Hero thing. And if you'll remember, Guitar Hero, something they did was that when you're playing notes at least close, they make it sound pretty good. Like you're really playing this music, right? Trombone Champ is it is literally just a chromatic straight up and down curve. So if you were playing it off by a little, it sounds awful. And that is the joy of this game. You sound so bad while you're playing these songs. It's the real trombone experience.
It's the real trombone experience. It is incredible. It is the hardest I have laughed playing a game in a long, long time because I am trying so hard to keep it together and play the song correctly. And it just sounds so bad. Even if you're getting pretty close.
I mean, it's the issue of an infinitely variable instrument, right?
Yes, yeah.
Since it's on a slide.
So currently, because it was a playtest, there was only 5 songs in there.
John Philip Sousa songs, big marches.
Here,
Dixieland Jazz.
Let me show you one. If you just miss it for a second, it sounds off. Yeah, it sounds awful.
The slides. Nasty. Is nasty good or bad?
Bad. It is a wildly difficult video game.
Damn.
I'm obsessed with this fucking video game. It is
I want to play this.
It's so much fun. Again, the moment you fuck up, it is a challenge to not only get back in the right spot, but for me to stop laughing so that I can continue playing the video game. Because it for whatever reason, just music being played badly is the funniest shit to me in the world. I think maybe just because for a long time I was not good at playing music, and so there's just something hilarious to me about not being able to do the song that you're trying to do. Anyway, Trombone Champ is incredible. I cannot wait for this game to go into whatever full release is happening so that I can play more songs.
What's it going to be on Steam?
I was playing it on Steam. I don't know if it's coming out for anything else. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like right now it's just Steam.
Okay.
So yeah, Trombone Champ, huge fan, and it's just incredible. I've also been playing, David.
Yes.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
I've been seeing you touch this one on the Nintendo.
Yes. You were here, and I don't know if it was Sunday or Saturday, sometime, we were hanging out, and we were both it's nap time. And I was like, did you see Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out? And you were like, yeah. And then we woke up, and I was like, it's downloaded. I have already purchased it. I'm ready to go. So the sleepy caught up with me, and I bought this video game.
Yes.
So a little bit of background. I had seen pretty good reviews of this game, which were surprising for me. I have paid attention to the last couple, just because like it seemed like a lot of people were big fans of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2. I had played Xenogears back on the PlayStation 1 a little. I had played Xenosaga on the PlayStation 2, which was like...
Are these all the same games?
No.
Xenogears and Xenosaga?
I don't think that they're canonically connected to one another, but like they're similar people making it. I think it's like the same like producer at the top of this.
Sure.
So like similar to Final Fantasy, right? Where like they're in the same series, but like not all of them are really connected at all. But most of them with like the same title are connected, right? So Chronicles are all connected to each other. Saga was all connected to itself. And like, I don't really remember what happened in Saga. I remember liking it, but like not really enough to really be like, wow, this is an incredible game. I also, I had such a like just chud judgment about the first couple of games. Like I saw that they were,
if you will,
a judgment. And like, I had seen that they were reviewed fine. And like, because I wasn't blown away just at like the concept of it, I was like, I don't know if I really need to play this, but like a lot of the reason I didn't want to play it was mostly because of Shulk in Smash Brothers.
You weren't a fan of the backslash?
I just don't really like listening to him. His whole deal is kind of a bummer for me.
What's his deal?
It's just like... He's like a Luke Skywalker who takes his shirt off, you know, like just sort of a whiny dude.
Okay.
It's just,
sure.
It didn't seem like it was for me. And like,
he's a whiny Luke Skywalker who takes his shirt off, Gordon Chase Albee.
In Smash Brothers specifically. And like every dude who I played Smash Bros with was like, gotta play Shulk without his fucking shirt on, dude. Like, come on. Why
does that upset? Can we pick at this for a second? Why does this upset you so much, Chase?
I mean, it's the same type of dude who goes to a party and takes his shirt off. This is a flex. You're flexing.
Gotcha. This is my video game version of me. I also have a 6-pack.
Or just like I'm doing something to be provocative and be seen. Like it's whack, dude. Sit down. Sorry. We're approaching
bathing suit Shulk players on notice from Chase Albee.
Sorry, this is veering off Podtimism.
Yeah, it sure is.
So I hadn't been really interested in the series as the end result of all of that, but I saw that it was getting really good reviews, and I was like, I should probably check this out just to see what's going on there. And I'm glad I did. It is very much immediately compelling. The story that they're telling, so far as I know, like right at the beginning at least, doesn't rely super hard on the other games.
Sure.
I did end up watching like a 45-minute explainer of the first two.
Of course.
So I like kind of know what's going on. There's a lot of proper nouns and names that I didn't really like latch onto, but they're in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I seem to kind of know what is going on a little bit, but anyway, point being, the world that they're setting out is a lot more compelling. It immediately puts you in the shoes of this dude named Noah, who is what they call an offseer in this world.
Okay.
And an offseer is somebody who essentially plays the flute to ensure that the people who die in the like ongoing, everlasting war, that their like spirit gets like sent along properly. It's kind of similar to Yuna in Final Fantasy X.
Sure.
And there are people on either sides of these wars who do this. And at all times, essentially, the setup is that the reason these people are constantly fighting with each other is that everybody lives in these like colonies, which essentially are just like gigantic mechs that can move around and, put down roots wherever they want to. So like you start out in Colony 9, which is this big like mobile like mech on a couple of like wheels and shit like that.
That's cool.
It's cool as hell. And what you're doing when you're fighting these other people is you're taking their life force to extend your flame clock on your mech.
Whoa.
And essentially, if
it's a lot of buzz terms.
It's a lot of buzz terms. Essentially, what that does is extends your own life, right? So if your flame clock gets down to 0, then conceptually everybody in the colony dies, right?
Whoa.
So everybody on either side of this war have to keep fighting so that they can continue living. And not to mention that everybody who is involved in this war are people who are like grown in test tubes, and their life is, I think, artificially shortened to be only 10 years. So nobody lives beyond 10.
Whoa. And
it's not like you have, like babies running around on the battlefield. They like grow up very quickly. And so by the time you're like, 8, you seem like you're in your 20s or something.
Sure.
What the fuck? Wow. It's wild, and like that level of world building was immediately kind of had me. I'm like, this is all very cool. I'm into that. Like the world is interesting, and it already brings up questions about like why is it like this? This is weird. And you know, everybody buys into this. Nobody's really questioning it all that much. Not to mention when you a big part of the life of these people is that when you turn 10, once you get to your, as they call it, your 10th term, you get to have like a homecoming where you are brought back to you know, the castle where your people or the I guess monarchy live, and you are essentially off scene, right? So you're killed for all intents and purposes, and you get to die for the queen, essentially.
Sure.
Wild. That is a wild setup for a world, and like pretty dire, right? Like it seems like that would be incredibly depressing. Like that is a more sad world than The Last of Us, but like I think because the characters are all kind of anime and like the world doesn't sulk in that super hard. It doesn't shulk in that super hard, thank God. It doesn't ever feel like too much. Anyway, so you are put into the position where you are immediately you're fighting this war, yada yada yada, and like shit goes sour, and you're exposed to like this power to combine with one another to like kind of occupy the same space as what do they call it? An Ouroboros.
Whoa.
So you turn into this like big, wild, sort of mechanical, sort of organic looking creature that like kicks major ass.
Okay.
You also run into a person who is like much older. Like I think they say they're in their like 60s.
Whoa.
And they're like, you need to figure out how to like stop this because this like ongoing conflict will never end if somebody doesn't stop it. So, you know, here's your task. Here's where you need to go. And you're immediately also paired with people from the other side of this war, on the Agnes side, who are very similar to your characters, but everybody has a very distinct personality. And yeah, that's pretty much the setup of the game. That does take a while to get there, I will say. Like the part of the game where it's like, okay, now you can go out and do the game rather than like cutscene, fight a little bit, cutscene, fight a little bit, cutscene. You know, this is probably 5 or 6 hours into the game. It's a while.
Damn.
And like
it's a lot of stage setting.
It's a lot of stage setting. And I think this is another situation similar to my experience with Dragon Quest, where I really had to let the game play itself out on its own terms rather than like me, you know, wrestling it to get it to play out how I wanted it to. Because sort of towards the end of like the first chapter or second chapter of this game, things culminate in like very satisfying ways. Like the game isn't over by any measure, but once the game sort of like shows its hand with here's kind of what we're going to do for a little while, it's really, really good. And I think the game is excelling in a couple of ways. I think the most obvious to me is just how well they're telling the story, how well their characters are like delivering their lines and shit like that. It like really does feel like you're watching an anime half the time, which for some people might not be good because that also means a lot of watching, you know, like
sure,
there's a lot of times where you are not necessarily in control, but because it's pretty well acted, the voice lines are delivered in a way that's believable. The framing of the game is really good. That's something I don't always notice about games, but like literally where the camera is and like where they're shooting people from makes it, there's a lot more visual storytelling going on, even when characters like aren't speaking. You're like getting a little bit more of like what they're thinking. And I just don't know that I see that very often other than like, you know, the big PlayStation tentpole games.
Sure.
And those all kind of have a very similar flavor to them. Whereas like, you know, when Noah starts like being concerned and making decisions, he's clearly concerned about the opposite party members. But he doesn't necessarily have the words for that yet. Sure. And so like just how he's acting is like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. He's growing a little bit. That stuff is really good. And so I'm really enjoying it. I think the gameplay loop essentially ends up being Noah ends up realizing that he has the power to break these flame clocks.
Wow, what a sentence.
Yeah, no, exactly. A lot of proper nouns. To stop this relationship that people have, right? So like we don't have to keep killing other people to survive, right? Which is interesting. It presents a lot of problems for the people in the world. A lot of people are resistant to that at first, sort of like clinging to how the way the world works and like, I don't trust that's going to work. What are we even going to do? Is that going to change anything? All that sort of stuff. And so a lot of it is you as this party of people who like are essentially just like flute playing anti-war activists going through the world and just saying like, hey, there's another way to do this, is pretty good. Like I feel like a lot of the time I'm so used to the conflict in games being violence driven, and like, you're still fighting people here, but I feel like the party is very much motivated by like, can we stop this? Like, is it possible for us to stop this system? Which is really compelling. And I think that the way that the story is structured is really good. It reminds me of kind of how Persona works or Tales of Arise, where the story feels like it is very much driven by the player characters or the player. In that, like, the things that you are doing are directly affecting the world, and they're all very impactful. Whereas sometimes I feel like in other games, and I think sort of in older JRPGs, it can very much feel like the world is happening to you, and you're just sort of responding a lot of the time. Or like the stakes don't always make sense, right? Like Sora goes and opens another keyhole or whatever. What does that really do for the world, like I see how that affects him and how that changes his personal goal, but like the world doesn't necessarily really like reel from that, whereas like when you remove somebody's flame clock, like everybody in the colony acts differently now, and like how is the monarchy really going to react to that, right? That's unknown. It's not really sure if that's going to be a bad thing or not, and they explore that because you can go back and see how everybody's doing and get different side quests and shit like that. So I really like that. I haven't even touched on the fact that this game's combat is very much like an MMO, which is very bizarre.
Interesting.
It like essentially the way that you do combat is that if you're in combat and you're next to somebody, you'll essentially like auto attack them, like just slash at them. And you have certain skills that you can use, whenever you choose to do so, that will do X, Y, or Z.
Sure.
And so it ends up playing out. It reminds me a little bit of KOTOR, how like, you see somebody, you just click auto attack and it goes and does that. And then you can just kind of choose which skills you want to do, which is interesting. I think the exploration of what does an MMO RPG look like without always the massively multiplayer part, just to like it has the same sort of combat where everybody's kind of slashing at these big ass monsters, and the buffs are all sort of in a circle. You have people who are fulfilling roles of like, I'm a tank, I'm a healer, I'm a DPS sort of thing, and switching between those two oftentimes. But how does that play out when it's just a single player game? I think it's pretty satisfying. I think that may also be because I've played a lot of WoW, and like I kind of like that. So it would be very interesting to me to hear from somebody who hasn't played any Xenoblade Xenoblade Chronicles games, or hasn't played a lot of MMOs, and see like, is this good? Do you like this?
Yeah. What are your opinions?
Because I don't really know, but I like that. And there's sort of, and this is maybe something that doesn't really work for me super well, but like there's an overwhelming amount of tutorials in the beginning. And like, I think they do drip feed them to you in a way that makes sense. I have heard that the other Xenoblade Chronicles are even worse at this.
Oh no.
Like that they're just piling mechanics on.
Sure.
And like, I think I get it. I think I understand what to do in this video game, but like there is a lot of shit going on. My solution to that has been to like watch 1 or 2 YouTube videos and also turn the difficulty down to easy, which has made it real good for me. I'm really just here for the story and to like kind of kick ass. So
sure.
I don't need the combat to be super hard.
I'm here to kick ass.
I'm here to kick ass and hear stories about people. So it's really interesting. It's so hard for me to figure out if I'm like really into this game or not. I've heard from reviewers who I trust that like this is the best shit I've played. It like goes toe to toe with Elden Ring and stuff like that.
Damn.
I don't know if that's where I'm at with it. I do think it's really good, and I also have a very hard time putting it down. Like pretty much all the time I'm like, I want to figure out what's going on next, right? Like I want to see what's happening. Just because the story has so many like twists and turns that are like genuinely interesting, and because I care about the characters and they're doing such a good job like filling out their backstory and who these people are, it's always good, right? Like the conversations they have are all really interesting. I'm trying to see if I can think of a way to say this without spoiling it, but one of the like the little goofy creatures that come along with you like in any anime.
Sure. Yeah.
One of them was like, hey, I don't really get it. Like you all call these like people who are doing bad things like supervillains or whatever, but you also kill people. Like, does that make you a supervillain? And then everybody's like, well, no, because like that's just how the world is structured. We were just doing what we had to do to survive. And the little creature's like, okay, well, does that mean the world is a supervillain? Like, is the whole world like fucked up? And everybody's like, maybe. And one of the characters is like, well, you shouldn't look at it that hard, because if you really look at it that much, like the only real option is suicide. So like you really shouldn't look at it that hard. I'm like,
Oh my
Christ
God.
alive, game.
What a commentary.
Yeah, like it's wild because they're essentially exploring like, is it moral to live? You know, like if I'm just here to kind of like make the world worse by using and consuming and like existing on the planet, like is the world evil or am I evil for being here? You know, and what's the solution if you buy into that previous one? So real heavy and heady shit that like I really like whenever they tackle that. And it also totally makes sense that like people who are canonically have only been really alive for like 9 years are struggling with, you know, like people who haven't really been around that long, not to mention like have mostly just been at war. Children, yeah. Children fighting wars. Yeah. And like, you know, I think that's always a very, not fun, but effective backdrop, like the age specific thing. It feels very Evangelion. It feels very the early couple seasons of Gundam where like child soldiers are like a thing. It's effective because these people are grappling with like what it even means to be alive, let alone be at war, you know. They haven't had time to become like these hardened, terrible people. So yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying this game. I hear that it's near 100 hours. I don't know if I can play a game for that long, unless it's Persona.
Yeah, that's a long game.
So we'll see how far I get, but as of now, I'm really enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot to talk about with it, and I'm sure that I haven't covered like half of it, but it's fun. I'm having a good time with it.
Very nice.
David, this will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week. It is camping with your friends in a game.
Whoa, all right. That's very specific.
Yeah, it is very specific, and it happens. Let me see. I've seen it in this game. It happens a little bit in Persona where like you're hanging out with your crew, right? And I remember it happening a lot in Final Fantasy 15 where you like go out with your bros and like camp in the woods and somebody makes a meal and shit like that. It's a very JRPG trope to like, let's go camping and hang out and just like be with each other. I don't know why. It does a lot for me. Makes it just like seeing these people hang out with each other,
guys. Come on.
Do menial shit. It's like, yeah, that's good.
All right. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I'm way into it. Hey, do you have something fueling your sense of optimism, David?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
I think I've said this many times before, but like a real nice controller.
Yeah, sure.
That's doing it for me this week. The Elite controller is so nice. I love the back paddles, I think, specifically on this one.
The presence of the paddles really makes it feel like shocking that isn't a more common thing.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be kind of like a standard thing on controllers, I think, nowadays. Because, I mean, those that middle ring and small finger are doing nothing back there.
Just hanging out.
They're just hanging out. They could be doing stuff. Take some of the stress off the thumb. Come on, guys. Yeah. But yeah, no, it is a premium item.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, it's fun to use.
It feels very good. I didn't mention this when you were talking about it earlier. I got much worse at Halo when I was using the Elite controller. I don't know why, but for every other game, it felt very good.
I think you have too many years of ingrained Halo technique to unlearn it and to reprogram yourself to use the back paddles, you know?
So the back paddles actually worked okay. I think it was specifically the sticks. Something about the tension was like too much for me.
Oh.
It felt good, but I just wasn't aiming in the place that I wanted to.
Maybe you got to change the ramp.
Yeah, I probably do got to change the ramp. TBH.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. Hey, David.
Yes.
Do you want to move on to our main thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey, it's Good Games, David.
It sure is. Here we are.
I like springing the segment on you. That's very fun for me. I'm not sure why.
You enjoy it. You enjoy a good surprise.
I think I'm always trying to find the moment where you least expect it and then starting the segment. Kind of puts us off on a weird footing, and I like that. Hey, it's Good Games, the segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. Another listener suggestion this week, just burning through these.
They're great. They're great suggestions.
It is always, it's very fun. This one comes from listener Rufus. Thank you, Rufus.
Thanks, Rufus.
He had suggested Men in Black, the series, for the Game Boy Color.
Hell yeah. Men in Black, the series, the game.
Yes, he did. He suggested that. Apparently, Rufus has some fond memories of this one. And I am ready to talk about it because it's going to be interesting.
It was an interesting experience.
Prepare yourself, Rufus. I'm going to do my best right now.
He is communing with the spirit of podtimism.
Yes, yeah.
He already used up quite a bit of his when he talked about Shulk.
That's true. Yeah, I will do my best. Rufus had said, he was talking about his suggestions and said, turns out I remember some of them because he was going to go look in his actual collection. He said, I look forward to hearing your thoughts. I feel like some of them are less than okayest. Rufus, you may have found one. You may have found one of those.
Well, you didn't enjoy this one?
Let me hit you with some hot stats before we get too deep into it.
Sure.
Okay. All right, great.
Hot stats.
Men in Black, the series for Game Boy Color, came out March 1st of 1999. Quite a while ago now. It was made by Tex, a company that was mostly doing like ports from like one system to another. They of course did Rugrats Total Angelica, Timon and Pumbaa's Jungle Games for the SNES.
Oh, did I play that?
I feel like I did. I saw the cover of it and it looked very familiar.
Uh-huh.
And of course, Tweety's Doodlebones, which is absolutely my favorite Death Grip song.
Tweety's Doodlebones?
Doodlebones coming out my mouth.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What kind of name for a game is that?
I don't know.
Doodlebones.
Doodlebones. Tweenies, you know.
I will only answer to Doodlebones from now on. You can call me Doodlebones or Mr. Bones.
I have a review that I really love from the outlet Video Games in Germany. I have taken their review and I've run it through Google Translate through a bunch of different languages, of course, through the Strait of Esperanto, eventually arriving back in English to really just mangle this review. And man, this one is mangled.
Oh boy.
This is a really fun one. I read it earlier today and read it a couple times. Like, it's just, I love this.
I'm ready.
So, of course, Video Games had to say, unfortunately, we couldn't turn the Will Smith MIB Graph Breaker into a Game Boy Boom Ball, so it's best to turn the wheel to the bottom edge of the triangle. Different locations and settings for high-quality photos. Mars, offices in high-rise buildings, Manhattan streets, airports, rooftops, and forests. You name it. Another license is good bad. Even those, though, who go out without sunglasses should try them on before buying. 4 out of 10 from Video Games.
Wow.
It's just an assault, this review. I feel like it is just every minute it is going as hard as it possibly can.
It reminds me of the music from the game.
Yeah, just sort of trying to play every instrument at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, David, could you explain to me what Men in Black, the series for Game Boy Color is? The video game.
I can. Men in Black, the series, the game for Game Boy Color. What is it? It is a side-scrolling shooter and platformer, unfortunately, where you take on the mantle of, I'm guessing it's supposed to be Agent J.
I can look this up.
In my mind, I named him Bill Swift.
Where did you pull that from?
It sounds like Will Smith, but it's Bill Swift.
Bill Smith. Okay.
No, Bill Swift.
Bill Swift. Jesus.
And his partner, Johnny D. Bones.
Bill Swift is really rolling around in my head.
That wasn't Will Smith who slapped Chris Rock. That was his evil twin, Bill Swift.
Bill Swift is a different guy.
Who was also the star of Men in Black, the series, the game.
In this one, you're playing Agent J.
So it is Will Smith.
It is Will Smith. Yeah. David, it
doesn't look anything like Will Smith.
It don't look like Will Smith.
It doesn't look a thing like Will Smith.
This is a Bill Swift looking dude.
It's Bill Swift, right? He looks much more like a Bill Swift.
That's a Bill Swift if I've ever seen one.
Have you seen Agent K, Tommy Lee Jones?
Yeah, Tommy Lee Bones.
Johnny D. Bones, Chase, please.
Johnny Doodlebones, yeah.
Johnny Doodlebones. I would expect nothing less from the creators of Timon and Pumbaa's Jungle Games, which I definitely did play on the PC as a kid. I played a lot of this game. Looked it up. Played a lot of it. But anyways, I'm way off topic. Sure. It is a side-scrolling shooter and platformer where you take on the role of Agent J, a.k.a. Bill Swift, and fight aliens that have gone rampant in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I really love the explanation of the story by way of just showing the pug from the movie and putting the text on screen. Aliens are on the rampage through the streets of Manhattan.
That's it. That's all the exposition you get. I thought I skipped through something, but no, that was it.
No,
that's all you need.
It's the pug and a fire hydrant and those words on the screen. That JPEG has been just rolling around in my brain. I felt transfixed.
I like how they felt the need to include the fire hydrant.
It's really...
They couldn't just be the pug.
Yeah, it really contextualizes the scene.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm in Men in Black, the series, the game.
Oh, man. This one's a lot.
I kind of had fun with it. I don't know about you.
So the actual playing of the game, like, I thought that was fun. It is so very much rooted in, like, this is a Game Boy game where they had, like, you know, like one single byte of data to make a game with, and they made a game out of that.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's pretty fun. Like, shooting the dudes and just kind of, like, figuring out their patterns is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the walk animation on this thing is crispy. Got a real good walk animation.
It's a very
on
good
these
walk
agents.
animation.
Bill Swift has a nice walk.
Bill Swift is hoofing it. He's a strong walker. Yeah, he's got the animation for the walking is crispy, and the animation for the sweeping overhead shooting also pretty crispy.
Pretty crispy. Like the overhead shooting. Yeah, I agree that, like, the actual video game part of it is not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like, heavy. It feels heavy to, like, move your character around.
Yeah.
And, like, you kind of got to commit to whatever movement you're doing, but, like, come on, baby, that's just Dark Souls. We're just playing Dark Souls now.
I know, right? Nothing can compare to Dark Souls platforming, that's for certain.
I think nothing can compare to Men in Black, the series, the video game for Game Boy Color's platforming. So that's where the original torrent came from, David.
So many qualifiers for this game. But yeah, I like the crispiness of the main character, Bill Swift.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy having to, like, kind of aim your, like, arcing shooting overhead shots to hit people up above.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how it made you very much feel like a cop in a strange way.
Gun always drawn.
Gun always drawn. You're pretty much never retreating. If you retreat, you die. You have to stand your ground and just, once someone comes towards you, you just got to stand your ground and shoot, for better or for worse, which is problematic, to say the least, I think.
Yeah, a real heady, artsy game, Men in Black.
Really trying to make a statement here.
Yeah.
Who are the real aliens? But yeah, I thought that was an interesting gameplay mechanic of the game. It's like, if I retreat, I'm going to die. I have to just stand right here and just, like, smash this button and hope that I have enough life if they do hit me.
So you can run in this game?
I figured that out pretty late.
I did too, but I also realized that I should not be running in this game.
It's not useful at all.
You will just run into someone immediately.
Yeah, I really don't understand why they even put a running option in the game, because it just gets you into trouble.
Yeah.
There's no benefit to it that I found, at least.
Yeah, like you really do need to be kind of careful in this game.
Uh-huh.
Or else, yeah, you will just die.
Also, can we talk about the ode to the homage to the movie of the little tiny grasshopper gun or whatever they called it that would just shoot you so far backwards that it was almost useless?
Did I get this? I don't know if I got this.
This was in the sewer level. Did you get to the sewer level?
No, I died much earlier than the sewer level.
Oh, there's a sewer level, and you got to get past the floating, moving tires across the sewer, and then you get the, like, little cricket or grasshopper gun or whatever they called it in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you shoot it, and it's powerful, but it knocks you, like, 2 frames back, like, really far, to the point where it's, like, useless. That's
incredible.
It made no sense to me. I'm like, okay, this is funny. I get it. It's from the movie, but what can I actually functionally
what is the purpose
use
of
this for? Because by the time that the bullet would actually hit the alien's now off screen, and nothing will happen to it, because nothing in this game exists if it's not on the screen. So, like, blast you out of actual function of this weapon. It was baffling. It was baffling to me. I was like, why is this here? It's fun.
Why have we done this?
But why, though? You have to get really close to someone to actually make it useful, because, like I said, if you try to snipe them from across the screen, they're going to live, and you're going to have to fight them again.
Oh, my God.
It was funny. But yeah, it was funny. It was funny. It was a funny game. Do you want to talk about the music at all?
It's a lot. There's a lot of it.
There sure is. It gets more manic as you progress through the level.
Yeah.
It gets, like, faster, but it's the same song.
Mm-hmm.
It's just faster each level that you go higher. in a certain world.
I really feel the hardware restraint of this game. Like it feels like the Game Boy Color.
Can you tell me one other thing you liked about the game, Chase? Let's be optimistic here. We've been dunking a little bit too much.
Yeah.
We've been a little too dunky.
Dude, that JPEG of the dog, though. I think that might be the high point of the game for me.
Why, because it's a pug?
I mean, it's a pug, and just like, it feels like, what's the like thing that's hot on the internet right now? Liminal spaces? It feels like a liminal space.
Liminal spaces?
Yeah.
What is this?
Liminal space is a location which is a transition between two other locations or states of being. Typically, these are abandoned and oftentimes empty. A mall at 4 a.m., a school hallway during summer, for example. This makes it feel frozen and slightly unsettling, but also familiar to our minds.
A mall? Why is a mall at 4 a.m.?
It's just like
a transition
empty.
Between two other locations or states of being. Okay, states of being. That one makes more sense to me. So like empty office buildings.
Yeah, nobody's there. It's empty. It's weird.
Or like a wiener schnitzel that's packed.
Yes. Or aliens are on the rampage through the streets of Manhattan.
Like the art is so interesting.
It is haunting, David.
The stylistic choices.
It is fucking burned on the inside of my retina. I don't know why this JPEG has such a hold on me.
This dog is going to find you right before you die. He's going to come and be like, remember me?
Aliens are on the rampage, Chase. You got to go get them.
So are we agreeing that this dog is maybe like a herald of Chet?
Yeah, the harbinger of doom. Some part of the lore there.
Yeah, he's definitely letting us know that things are not going to go well for us in the future.
Can I read you some of the reviews that are on Wikipedia?
Yes.
Game Informer wrote, quote, "We will never play this game again. MIB looks great on Game Boy Color, but the gameplay is a complete misery."
Oh my goodness.
So that's a little bit much. That's a little much.
Man. The gameplay wasn't that bad.
No, it's not misery.
Yeah.
It's not like astounding, but like it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
IGN called it a Game Boy Color bore. Relax,
Whoa.
IGN.
Okay.
It's fine.
Cool your jets, guys. Come on.
Yeah. It is shocking to me that Pokemon exists on the Game Boy Color. Like, this feels much more in line with what I would expect on a Game Boy.
Something very, very basic.
Yeah, like you're working with what you got, man. Like the Game Boy Color is not a sophisticated piece of hardware.
It reminds me of this Batman game I had on the Game Boy Color. That game was not good. It was a hard-ass game, dude. I had no idea what I was doing in that game.
I feel like a lot of the time Game Boy games like that, they just did not explain themselves particularly well. And so you'd walk through it just like, what am I doing?
I mean, young me would never figure out how to do the overhead shooting in this game.
Yeah, it's true.
You have to press back and up at the same time to do it.
It took a while. I was like rolling my control stick, like, what is the motion that I need to do this?
I know, right? It's like a reverse Hadoken.
It is like a reverse Hadoken, like weirdly a fighting game in the middle of this side scroller.
Yeah. It has a long sweeping motion, dude. You really have to time it well.
I like the enemy design in this game.
There were a lot of different enemies. It's true. And they all did something different.
They all did something different, and they made you learn about them, which is like cool. I'm into that.
I like the little bosses at the end of each level as well.
Yeah, those are cool.
There's a little slug man at the end of the sewer level. He killed me. I never got past him. It was hard.
Sure. I mean, that's another thing with these like Game Boy games is that I think they're intended to be similar to games of the era, hard as fuck, so that like you will continue to play them pretty often. So yeah, there's usually like one of these levels where it's like, yeah, you're just not supposed to get past here. We're just gonna kick your ass.
What are you going to learn, old man? Yeah, I think, is there anything else I want to say about this game? It was the best Men in Black, the series, the game for Game Boy Color I've ever played.
Hey, same, dude. I feel totally the same. That's really cool.
And I think there is some fun to be had in there. It's just, silly. You can't take it too seriously. You can't expect too much from it, but it's just like a fun run and shoot game. You just learn the patterns of the enemies. And I don't know if I would say it really gives me the feeling of playing like in this universe of Men in Black, but there's something in there that's enjoyable.
The like gun that shoots you back is fun. Characters, I guess, kind of look like Men in Black dudes.
I mean, they are men in black tuxedos, black suits.
They're agents, yeah.
They're men in black suits. That I think is the only similarity between these characters and the characters in the film.
My name is Bill Swift, and I'm the star of The Frosh Prince of Balar.
The Froshman of Babar.
The Fresh Prince of Burbank.
The Fresh Prince of Burbank. Whoa, that's a very different show.
Well, that's Bill Swift for you. He's a different kind of guy. He's built different.
Same animal, different beast.
Bill Swift is definitely the type of dude to post like the wolf filter of himself on Instagram. Like, I gotta unleash the beast. Don't come near me or my loved ones, or I'll have to unleash the beast.
When the wolves howl, the sheep cower.
Yeah, no, perfect. That's it. Thank you, Bill Swift. That's a good one.
Bill Swift. So Bill Swift is a mixture between Will Smith and his son. Is that what you're saying?
And just like a boomer from Ohio.
and just randomly a boomer from Ohio in there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these are the most words that have been said about this video game. Like there's just not very much of it. So, like, what else?
I'm surprised we've talked this much about a game. I feel like I haven't really have said anything substantive at all.
Yeah, I want to say something, but like what?
Which I think it's very indicative of this game in that there's not a whole lot going on
of
here.
it.
There's not a whole lot of it.
Yeah.
I think I played for 20 minutes and looking at a long play, I got halfway through the game.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's not much of it. It's not complicated. It's not anything revolutionary. It's just a 90s or early 2000s, whatever. When was it released?
1999.
A late 90s movie tie-in game. Actually, not even a movie tie-in game. A movie series tie-in game. And that's for what it is. Why not?
Why not?
I guess that's what I can say about this game. Men in Black, the series, the game. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Give it a shot. Why not? It's not going to kill you.
Man, I really hope this wasn't Rufus's favorite game.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rufus.
He's going to be bummed if this was like his this is my magnum opus, my hidden gem.
Look, this game, I did actually have some fun with it.
Me too.
To be quite honest.
I did. I'm not going to say I didn't.
Have some fun with it.
I was like, this is a goofy little experience.
Would I ever go back and play this game again? Probably not.
I don't know that there's going to be a time where I'm like, man, you know what I'm really in the mood for? A little Bill Swift in my life.
Bill Swift.
Anyway, do you have anything else to say about this game, David?
That's all I got to say.
Thanks for your suggestion, Rufus. We appreciate you sending in a suggestion for the show. I'm also realizing now that this may have been a trap.
It's a trap.
Because Rufus, I've seen him say before that he enjoys listening to the episodes where we are talking about a game that is absolutely not a good game.
Rufus, did you get us?
Did you trick us?
Did you trick us?
Was this a trap?
Rufus.
Did we fall into your trap card?
You've activated my trap card.
Now I'm going to make you play a shitty game, which we appreciate. And listen, I'm still going to play a bad game if it's out there.
I had a smile on my face when I played this game.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we can really say definitively bad game. I don't think so.
Like it didn't make me irrationally angry about something.
No.
It was kind of fair in how difficult it was, to be honest.
It's the Dark Souls of the Men in Black universe, David. I get it. I get what you're saying.
An interesting thing to say about this game, but it's like, no, I messed up there. I could do better. And then I did do better. So I did kind of get that little bit of a Dark Souls hit from it. Like, I got through that bit. I did it. I mastered that now. I'm good.
I got to get the timing right on this pug. This JPEG, man, it's challenging me.
It's more like I got to get the timing right on when this enemy will start running towards me and to get into my defensive position and just blast away as much as I can before it hits me.
Yeah.
That's the meta of the game.
That's the Men in Black, the series for Game Boy Color meta.
Yes. All right. I think we've talked enough about this game.
Yeah. Good video game. Hey gamers, it's your best pals David and Chase here.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to interact with us, look up some games that we've played, suggest a game. Always our inbox is always open. Even if you want to trick us into playing maybe a bad game. God, I really hope that Rufus didn't love this game.
You better check.
You can, before I hit publish, I'm just like DM Rufus. Are you sure? Is this your total jam? And I just cut out every bad thing we say and just
go back.
Men in Black, the series, the game is my favorite game. And then just the transition music.
Thanks, Rufus.
If you want to do any of that, you can go to www.podtimism.com. There can find our Twitter. You can get a link to the show. You can suggest a game. You can check to see if we've played a game that you liked before. Whatever. It's all there. So yeah, we've also gotten a good chunk of suggested games. So thanks for everybody doing those. We will be playing them. That is just a true fact. So thank you for all of those. Real quick shout out.
Thank you,
Scout Wilkinson. Thank you for your work on our podcast art. It is good today. It is good yesterday, and it will be good tomorrow. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it is.
That's just what it is. That's just the way it is.
I was trying to see if you were going to do it because I also felt compelled to do it.
Oh, yeah, that's a great song. Draws Chet the Rat real good.
Also, if you want to help out the show, you can do it a number of ways. You can review it on your podcast app of choice. Hello, David. That scared the shit out of me. I forgot that there was a video portion of this call and you just turned yours on. Oh my God. That was harrowing, David. Holy shit.
I'm giving you the true Men in Black, the series, the game experience.
Whew. For listeners who maybe need to hear what just happened, David, we've both had our videos off because the internet was kind of poopy, and David turned his back on apropos of nothing and just scared the ever-loving shit out of me because there was just a face looking at me all of a sudden.
I also am in the dark right now because it's very hot in here, and I decided to get rid of any sort of heat source in the pod chamber.
Sure.
So I look extra spooky.
Yeah, that was good. So yeah, you can review the show if you would like to. Like I said at the top of the show, we've seen an increase of those, so thanks anybody who does that. You don't have to, but we certainly appreciate you doing that. So thanks. It's appreciated by both of us.
Thank you.
Speaking of which, thank you for listening. We appreciate you being here. You have a number of choices in podcast and specifically video game podcast.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
So thanks for choosing this one. Appreciate you. It's great. I'm humbled and excited whenever somebody sends in a new game or talks to us about the show or just listens. I'm paying attention to the numbers, baby. I see you. I see it.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. No, it fills us with so much joy that other people enjoy listening to our friendship.
Yes,
truly, this is what this podcast is. It's just our friendship on blast.
It's in the title. Two best friends.
Yeah,
it's in the title. So yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you, David. Do you have any gaming wisdom?
Yes, I do. I do, Chase.
What is it?
Whether or not you're a Will Smith or a Bill Swift, or a Tommy Lee Jones,
Tommy Lee Doodlebones,
or a Johnny D Bones, it doesn't matter, because what really matters is what's in your heart of hearts. And sometimes what's in there is a JPEG of a pug and a fire hydrant. That's just the way it is.
Oh my God.
This is the pug singing this right now.
Oh my God. That in combination with the heat and the 2 beers I've had is really...
Did that take you to another level?
I'm going to be seeing that in places. I'll be walking around on the street just my eyes go glassy and I see this.
Aliens are rampaging on the streets of Manhattan. And that's just the way it is.
Your internet went shitty for a second, so it went super slow. That's just the way it is.
That's amazing. That was the pug talking to you, actually, through the internet.
This is flaying my mind. I'm being destroyed and rebuilt.
This is a mind flaying moment for sure. For sure.
All right, cool. I'm going to go try and rebuild my brain.
Chase has nothing left. I'm looking at a defeated man over the internet right now.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good. We'll see you next week for whatever else someone wants us to play. Bye, everybody.
Bye.